Hello, my foodie faves of Chef Pam Creole Cuisine. Today we are going to prepare a gumbo. In my skillet now, I have a stick of butter, and I'm going to add a half a cup of flour, and we're going to make a roux. We're going to whisk that around really good in the butter and bring it to a nice brown state. A nice good chocolate brown color is what we have to look for. And in this big old pot here, we have my chicken broth water. What I added was a half a cup of low sodium chicken broth to about 2.5 to like 3 little quarts of water. And when you're making the roux, now back to the roux, you want to make sure that you're constantly stirring it. You don't want it to burn. That's the whole key to making a roux. It is a little time consuming, but oh my God, it makes a really good flavor for your gumbo. Now, like I said, in the roux color, there's different shades. I always say you're fancy. You can have one as dark chocolate. You can have it from not so dark chocolate, up to milk chocolate. And then when we go into your cream sauces, it'll look something like what I have, but the really, really light brown, kind of like a little white milk chocolate for your white sauces. So there's different colors in your roux colors for making roux. Your preference is what will give you the type color roux that you're looking for. Okay? So we're going to let this continue to whisk around. And you can see that the flour is beginning to cook up in that butter. You can also use canola oil. Some people use that too. Again, that's a preference. There's different ways also too that you can make roux. You can also lightly, slowly brown the flour. And there you see it's beginning to change its color, because that butter is beginning to purify, liquefy, and change into a ghee. You could smell it. It smells so good. When I was a little girl, we would have our aunties and grandmothers in the kitchen making the roux for the gumbos. In the Creole kitchen, we like to use hen because it's strong meat, doesn't fall apart like chicken does, and it have a really, really good, delicious flavor when you use a hen or any type of wild game. Sometimes they use duck, to make a gumbo. Quail, Cornish hens, guinea, different types of birds that they can use. I've even heard of people using doves. I have never eaten that type of gumbo, but I have heard that has been used. gumbo comes all the way from good old Africa. This is where the word and the flavor and this liquid soup. And the gumbo is really with the okra. Now we're going to lower this a little bit because it's beginning to brown more quickly. And as I said, they would use okra. Okra was brought all the way from Africa with our ancestors on the ships. Just like the beans and the seeds, they would store it in their hair, adorned like they had a headdress, and bring those items here to this country. Those were the things that they did. To bring something from home to this new place that they knew nothing about. Oh, this roux is so pretty and brown. And that's one of the quickness of using butter, because once the liquid milk cream has cooked off, then you have this delicious oil in it that will give you that delicious brown chocolate color for your roux. Now what I'm going to do is add my bell peppers and onions and mix it in here and just cook it up really good. And we're going to add that into the boiling. And this is smelling a really good aroma with the roux, the celery, the bell peppers, the onions. We're going to add some minced garlic to that. Then we're going to put it in our boiling water. Get my minced garlic. And add that to the delicious gumbo. I just can't get enough of garlic. I love garlic. And it's so healthy for you also. All that together, just cook it down, because what you do with your onions and bell peppers and celery is you wilt it down, you know, take some of that water out of it, and that is what the oil does when you saute your vegetables. We're going to add a little spoon. You're going to hear it sizzle in there. And That's what we're doing. We're going to loosen that up in our pot here. And then what's going to happen is going to come to a rapid boil. And while it's boiling and mixing and cooking, I'm going to saute the chicken and sausage. Brown that real good for the gumbo. I could call this Gumbo 101. There's a lot of people who do not know how to make gumbo. It's time consuming, but I mean, you have so many servings of delicious gumbo, bowls of gumbo. All right, so we have that in the pot with the broth. Now we have our skillet here. I'm going to heat that up. And clean as we go. So that way you don't have to be in the kitchen cleaning up before you could even eat. So we're going to put our oil in the pan. And we have our chicken parts. Now for you, some of you who have never cooked before, new to the kitchen and things like that, what you could do if you have never cooked before, you can get a nice rotisserie chicken from your favorite market, a whole chicken, and cut that chicken up and put it in your gumbo. You can make a gumbo that way also. Still cutting up your fresh vegetables and making your nice roux as I have done. And so we have our chicken parts in the skillet. And we're going to let that brown on each side. We're going to bring our gumbo broth down. Stir it up. That's what the roux is doing. Beginning to boil. When you're cooking gumbo and smothering the chicken, you don't have time for leaving the kitchen. You got to stick around and make sure everything is on point. You want to watch your brewing, liquid brew, become a masterpiece. I have faith in my foodie faves. If you follow my instructions and do all the things that I do to prepare these meals, you can do it for your family also. So we're going to go ahead and put this on like light medium. And as I said, we're going to smother this down nice. Put this in our gumbo. We have all our raw ingredients, vegetables cooking in that delicious gumbo broth that's going to make a delicious flavor. The chicken, my chicken is very highly seasoned so that when it's in this juice, it's going to taste really good. All the flavors are going to bind together and come together with a really good, flavorful taste in the gumbo. And I am going to add some ground shrimp to my gumbo. Now, it's something you don't have to do. Some people don't like, ground shrimp. I do. I find that with the sausage and chicken, it gives such a delicious flavor. Go ahead and add a little bit. As it begins to brown, you can add a little bit more of your chicken parts. And as I said before, like in growing up in my grandparents and in my home, that chicken back was an important part of the gumbo because of the bones in the chicken. It makes and give a real good flavor to the gumbo. So we're nearing the fall season, and soups and gumbos are a big part of fall and winter. Something nice and warm to warm the inside, and gumbos is one of the great meals in the Creole and Black households. That was a meal that you could stretch a long way, because you can make that gravy as long as possible. You don't have to make a big, thick gumbo. Where I come from, in Lafayette, Louisiana, we don't make our gumbo thick. We make it nice and juicy, like a long gravy, like the Creoles speak, a long gravy, so you have that over rice. And on the side, you could have a baked sweet potato or a delicious potato salad on the side with a good French bread with butter on it. Oh, that was what we consider good eating very good. And it still is today, eating very good. Who don't like gumbo? I mean, people travel all over the world to go to New Orleans to taste gumbo. Good old African cooking. Gumbo is a great history to research and find out exactly where it started from, where it came from. It was just mixing everything you could put into it as a gumbo. As I said, in Africa, gumbo is okra because they use the okra to make an okra soup with the pound yams and things like that, and everybody would be able to eat from that because okra can be stretched in a different type of gravy made way, and it's so good. It's just like you making the brown gumbo without the okra and putting in the vegetables and all those good things like that to give it such a good flavor. Some okras, you could also add the fresh tomatoes to it to give it a good flavor. Okra is so good. That's another good staple that everybody really loves. Basically in Louisiana with the okra, we like okra gumbo where we make it with seafood. And we also smother our okra and have the okra with shrimp and tomatoes and a good chicken on the side. There's just so many things that Creoles find to give a really good flavor with so many different items to cook. Didn't have much, but you couldn't tell because your stomach was full. And boy, was it oh so good. My chicken is browning beautifully. And you want it to have some color when you smothering your chicken because you don't want this white bald chicken. You don't ball your chicken and put it in the gumbo. That's not gumbo. You want that flavor to go into your chicken while it's browning and cooking, so that when it goes into that broth that has been cooking, you're gonna have something so delicious. All those flavors from the chicken that's been seasoned and pan-seared is going to go into that long gravy that's been simmering with the vegetables and seasoning and all of that. And together you have so many just delicious flavors coming that you definitely don't want a raw boiled chicken in your broth. All that's going to do is bring bloody chicken to your broth. Who wants that? So, as I said, we're going to brown that chicken. I've had many requests to find out exactly how to make a gumbo. One of my good friends, Mike, asked me if I would show on video how to make it. So that's what I'm doing from a request that was asked, how to make a gumbo. And as you practice more and more, you get better and better. And then you decide to use different types of flavoring to your gumbo. Like I said, you may want to try hen, you may want to try duck, you may want to try other different types of protein. You may want to make a seafood gumbo. Opening the doors and trying new flavors is what make you become a cook, okay? So it's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to rush. It's so passionable. Cooking is just, if you like it and you want to do it, try it. Embrace it. My chicken is browning very good, very good, very good. Let me put a little We're going to have the drippings that's going to be really good once we add the sausage to that. We're going to brown the sausages also. And then once all of that is done, you give it about 30 minutes on the stove because your chicken is being cooked. And with me sauteing my chicken and pre-cooking it really good and bringing it into the stew, all those flavors together, you won't have but about 35 minutes for it to simmer and boil, bring up to a boil and cook into the flavors from the chicken. Next thing you know, you'll be cooking up gumbo as many times as you can in the fall. The only thing that can mess up your gumbo is you burning your roux. If you burn your roux, you got to start from all over again. That's why you don't add your raw vegetable ingredients until your roux is perfect. If your roux is not perfect, you definitely don't have time to be cutting onions and bell peppers and celeries all over again. So you want to make sure that the first thing is the roux. It starts with the roux. The roux has to be properly made. If you have burned flakes in your roux, I'm so sorry. You got to throw that mess away and start all over again. Because I tell you, that gumbo will taste burnt. Absolutely burnt. Nobody will be able to eat that nasty stuff. So, make sure your roux is pretty. Spend your time, take your time preparing that roux so that it can be perfect every time. And once it's perfect and it's the color you want, I add my vegetables to it. A lot of people don't, okay? After my roux is the way I want it, I add my vegetables to it because that roux is scalding hot. So it's going to hurry up and suck out all that water that vegetables have. And I don't have to saute very long on the stove to get that wilted, soft, tender vegetable. They're tender. I have some pieces in here in my chicken now that's ready. And I'm going to start putting it in my pot. That's brown enough. That's not white and raw. And it gives me space in my skillet to be able to add the rest of the parts of the chicken that I have cut up. And if you get your real nice sized chicken, for those of you who know how to make a gumbo, you want to make sure that you have that breast cut real nice. You can cut a lot of meat off on the breast if you have a nice sized chicken with a nice breast. So choosing a good chicken with a good sized breast will give you a lot of white meat in your gumbo. And like I said, smothering the chicken, different methods. You could bake it in the oven. You know, that's another method of browning your chicken. But definitely, you guys, please don't boil the chicken. No boiled chicken for the gumbo. If you're going to make a gumbo, make it right. Not boiling no chicken. have to be in the kitchen dirtying up all the pots and pans. You, once your chicken begins to brown, you can start to add a little bit of those sausage. You'll see the difference that the sausage is going to take on the skillet from browning the chicken. It's going to help to bring up that broth. And then once you have this all brown and good, you can go ahead and add like a little cup of water, hot water to this after everything is all brown, and you can put it with your gumbo. We're almost there, you guys. We're almost there. I hope you're taking notes and paying attention. And be eager and happy and excited to want to try this for your family. I have faith in you. I know you can do it. My followers, my subscribers, and you're part of my clan, I know you could do it. If you follow the instructions, you cannot go wrong. Again, what we do with the roux, we make sure that we use the color roux that we want. It starts with the roux, from dark chocolate color to a nice peanut butter color. Those in between, you got all those different levels, from dark to light. You get to choose the color of the gumbo you want. Look at that. That's going to be a beautiful color gumbo. See that? Pretty brown, nice looking gumbo. And the aroma of the seasoning from my chicken is just divine. I tell you, it is absolutely divine. My sausages are browning. Put the rest of them in here. You can do a nice smoked sausage. You can do andoulille sausage. You can use your Creoles. We're known for that delicious smothering of meats. Smother means to brown down. And we're known for making that. We don't do all that flour gravy. take our time and smother down the meats that makes the dripping and make a really nice gravy. Then we add our onions and bell peppers to that. Bring it down with some nice hot water, never cold water. We've talked about that before in my previous demos. We don't use cold water. If you're going to use cold water, you have just ruined it. Everything is going to sizzle down. You put your food in shock, and then you have to raise the level to come back to heat. Warm water. Keep your tea kettle or a pot of water on your back burner whenever you're making gravies and things like that. Never cold water, guys. Never. That's not going to hit it. You just put your food in shock, and now you got to take all that flavor and try to bring it back up again. I'm going to bring that gravy on there, because I have some good drippings down on the bottom of my pot from browning the chicken. Oh my, la. Let me tell you. You can see it, you can smell it. And I tell you what, that's going to be part of the gumbo flavor. Just bring that down and let that simmer. I've learned from the best, and I make a doggone good gumbo every time. My family loves my gumbo. My friends love my gumbo. My customers love my gumbo. All right, we're going to pour that in here. All right, guys. And I just love my skillets. My stainless steel skillets. And I have to say, guys, that when you invest in a real nice, good, heavy bottom skillet, you'll have good cooking time that you won't stay in the kitchen all that time. It's all about even heat. Between my stainless steel and my cast iron pots, that's what I use in my kitchen. I'll have a few good cookware that you don't like, non-stick cookwares. I have a few of those for a special type of cookings that I prepare in my kitchen. But the stainless steel and the cast iron cookware, I assure you, you won't go wrong with that. So guys, I want you to look at that delicious gumbo that's brewing here. It's cooking up. It is just, I mean, it is so beautiful. Really good gumbo. Look at that. So, first time cooks, Never made anything before? This is one meal that you can go and try. Gumbo 101 by Chef Pam Creole Cuisine. Real easy. And like I said, if you've never cooked before, you've never cooked the chicken, you've never cooked anything, get that rotisserie chicken from your supermarket. Make your roux. I showed you how to make the roux. Have your vegetables. Have your sausage. Put your chicken broth in a large Dutch oven pot. You can't go wrong, because if you can't cook a chicken, you could buy a rotisserie chicken and you can have gumbo. The basic thing is it starts with the roux. No roux, no gumbo. No roux is a soup. Okay? So, if you like what you've seen, please leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe. I've had fun teaching you how to prepare this gumbo, and I hope that you take advantage of it and try it. See you soon.